Hey everybody. Technical snafus. The slides come on. The countdown timer gets all messed up. Got to turn this down. Hold on a second. All right. Got to quit Firefox. There we go. Sorry, just had to double check that my feed was coming through. Majed, welcome. Yeah, so beautiful, beautiful Friday here on the East Coast of the United States. And it's Friday, right? That's even the best part. And maybe Saturday, some places where you are. It's pub time, I know, in the UK, because I just did a podcast with Omar Farouk from Glorify app in the UK. And so thanks you guys for joining me. As you know, I am trying to go live more frequently, and I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch of content over the next month. I'm probably going to be going live 3 to 4 times a week over the next 30 days. So that's what I'm committing to myself. I may have to drop a day here and there, and most of it's going to be pretty short notice. So just keep your eyes on your email. I actually composed and sent out an email to my list of almost 10,000 people in like 5 minutes. About 15 minutes before we went live here, and totally last minute. So hopefully some of them will show up. And it's good to see you. Hey, Catherine, David, Mindset's back. Cool. Yeah. So, typical live snafus, right? When this recording started off, I had my camera on instead of having it blacked out. So there's like a 2-second thing of me, and then it goes black to the countdown. And then out of the countdown, my slide comes up before I come up. It's like, running a studio essentially and trying to be the talent is always a bit of a crapshoot. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I'm really excited. And today I'm going to be talking to you about building an email list. Because email is still critically important. Now, in the chat, you guys, how many of you actually have an email list or are actively trying to build an email list? Because I'd like to get a sense of, kind of what level I should start talking about this for you guys. And I'm going to be sharing some techniques and ways of going about it, but depending on where you guys are with it, I could hopefully adjust some of my commentary to address your particular needs. Now, if you have a question while I'm talking, please type question in all caps before your question. That way, if chat gets active, I can always scroll back and be able to see the questions really quickly when I come back around to them. Hey, Sonia. Welcome. Don't have a clue. Okay, it's all right. David, don't have an email list. Love to create one. Great. Okay, well, that's good. And it's good that you want to create one because email lists are very important. It is real estate that you own, so to speak. You want to be able to communicate with your audience directly. That is the goal of email marketing. So with that, why don't we just let's just jump right into it. All right. Yeah. So weigh in. Anybody else is popping in. Let me know whether you have an email list or where you are with it, or maybe how big your list is, or what you're using your list for, how you're getting people on your email list. That would be good to know. All right. So I'm going to drop some slides here. I'm going to scoot over to the side a little bit and put some slides on. And I'm going to take this off. So email is still, hey Kelly, welcome. Email is still the #1 marketing tool. The reason why that is because you have direct contact with your audience. And if you have their email address, that means they have given you permission. Hopefully, you haven't bought a list or something like that. They have given you permission to communicate with them. And so you are a trusted entity to them. So that is step #1. Having an email list enables you to have an audience that you are a trusted entity with, and hopefully they want to hear from you. So it's always better to have an audience that is looking forward to hearing from you than a cold audience or an audience where you are promoting through paid advertising to them. And you may be presented to them in an ad when they don't want to see you. So being part and having an email list is important and ideal. And so any of you who have a freelance business, a small agency, even if you are gainfully employed in a agency or on the client side, and you're trying to nurture or develop a personal brand to some extent. Oh, I got to turn off my notifications. It's good to start to develop that, because it's always good to have some sort of marketing real estate that you own outside of your job. And as you build a freelance business or start to develop a personal brand that's independent of your employer, which is always smart in terms of career insurance, having and developing an email list is a great thing to do. So email still is the #1 marketing tool. And so the big question is, how do you get people to sign up for it? The first thing you can do is ask folks. So if you have friends or family or coworkers or LinkedIn connections that you communicate with fairly regularly, put it out there. It's a great place to start. It's always hard when you start with 0, but everybody starts with 0. And so you may start with a list of 20 people, friends and family, and build from there. That's okay. Everyone starts at nothing. But you have to, first of all, and I'll start really rudimentary here, right? You have to sign up with an email provider. So either ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. Many of them have free accounts for a certain number of email subscribers. You have to use an email subscription service of some kind in order to avoid being marked as spam. If you try to send out mass emails to 50, 100, 200 people blind CC'd on a regular email from a Gmail account, you're going to get marked as spam by Gmail, and they're going to start delivering all of your emails that you send out, even when you're just sending out a single email to somebody, right into their spam folder. And so using an email service provider, MailChimp, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, etc., is a must when you start building an email list, because those systems are meant for that purpose and you won't get marked as spam. They're built for sending out mass emails to tens, hundreds of thousands of people. All right. So the question is, how do you get people to sign up? And the big answer is, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is going to be, hey, Colette, good to see you. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today is content. But there's all sorts of different kinds of content and ways of going about doing content. And it doesn't have to be original content. Okay? So stick with me. Use content as a lure. Use content as a magnet to attract people to your site, where they will download a PDF or some sort of digital asset of some kind. And in exchange for getting access to that in exchange for getting access to that asset, they give you their name and email address. And that email address, that form is linked to MailChimp, ConvertKit, whatever, and their email address is captured. Once it's captured, then they get access to that downloadable thing. So you use content as a lure. Very, very few people are going to sign up to your email list unless you give them something. The best way to get people to sign up to your email list is offer them something for free. Offer them something of value that they can use, that they're interested in, that they're curious about, and then they will fork over their email address, because there's a level of trust that goes into when you give before you ask. If you just ask people to fill out a form and like, hey, give me your email address, you'll only get you on my list, it's going to be a fool's errand, okay? So you got to use some sort of content to do that. The content doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be a 100-page ebook. It doesn't have to be some gigantic asset. So what are the kind of assets that you can use? I'm going to get into that in just a slide or two, but you want to make sure that you have it set up so when people go to a landing page or to your website and there's a lead magnet there that says get this free downloadable thing, and they enter their name and email address, you got to deliver those goods quickly. So it should come in immediate email or to a linked to a page where they can download the asset immediately. You don't want to have there be any kind of lag time because they want to get that thing very quickly. Ebooks are really great lead magnets or opt-in magnets. And an ebook doesn't have to be 100 pages. It doesn't have to be like a book. An ebook can be 5, 8 pages long, right? It can be short, can be an article. Pepper in some images, do some layout. You can take 1,000, 1,500 words and turn that into an ebook with a lot of illustrations, right? And they're very, very inexpensive to produce. If you're a graphic designer or some sort of a creative professional and you have access to Photoshop and Illustrator, or even Word for that matter, you can produce an ebook. Creating content that is evergreen, meaning content that can live for a long period of time on your website, is the way to gather emails. And what I mean by evergreen is that, for instance, I have a downloadable ebook that is literally 4 pages long that is part of the pop-up on my website. That lead magnet, 9 design elements your brand absolutely positively needs, has been the item on my pop-up for over 4 years, and it still converts at a very, very high rate because it's a great little ebook. I promote it everywhere on a lot of my earlier YouTube videos and cards and stuff like that. And it drives a lot of traffic, and I get a lot of email signups because of that quick little downloadable lead magnet. And it's evergreen. It works for me when I am sleeping. It has been working for me when I've been awake and sleeping for 4 years. And the effort that it took to put that little ebook together was maybe 4 hours of my time. And it has paid off. It has paid me with thousands and thousands of email addresses. You want to keep your content tight and focused. You want to make sure that you're creating content that is interesting to people, that has a very interesting title. And so you don't have to have, a 20, 30-page white paper, even though you can keep it very tight and very focused. Excuse me. Title is super important. So, you don't want to make it clickbaity sounding, so you don't want to make it sound cheap, right? Or get rich quickie, or multi-level marketing or something like that. But your title of what your lead magnet is very important. You want to make it sound like it's something that people want to have, and it should be linked back to something that your audience or the sort of people that you want to attract to your email list are interested in, right? So I speak to digital entrepreneurs and creative professionals. So my 9 design elements thing, where I talk about all of the sort of elements you need in a brand ecosystem, is really attractive to people like that. And there are things on there that people generally don't think about. So that has been it has performed very well in terms of my lead magnets. So you want to make sure that the title is important, and you want to make sure that the content that you're putting in there is of really high quality. Because the last thing you want is for someone to fork over their email address to you and trust you with that for the delivery of a PDF or some sort of asset, and then for them to be disappointed. You don't want them to be disappointed. You want them to feel good about the fact that they made this exchange with you, right? So you may not, you may be a designer, a creative pro, maybe you're copywriting challenged, but you may have to have some sort of copywriting in your lead magnet. If you need to, hire some professional help. You can hire a copywriter for a couple $100s on Fiverr and to give you some great serviceable copy, or take an idea of yours and turn it into a blog post or a mini ebook for not a lot of money. So if you need help, you can hire it, because that investment, that financial investment that's going to go into your content, into your lead magnet, will pay itself off in terms of returning email addresses to you and to your list. Now, how do you let's talk a little bit about more what are the other kinds of lead magnets that we have, right? Okay, so you could have an article, so a blog post kind of thing, a mini ebook, 5, 3, 5, 8, 10, 15 pages of a little book. You can have a checklist. People love checklists. Checklists are really, really easy to produce too. It's like, the 15 things you should ask new clients, 25 discovery call questions, those sorts of things. People love checklists. I don't know what it is about them, but people love to they love that sort of content. So it doesn't have to be like super deep or some super big long article. White papers, super deep long articles, those things are very valuable lead magnets as well. Another lead magnet that I've used on my website, which is really helpful, is resource lists. So it could be the 20 best digital cameras or webcams, or free image editing software, or in my case, when I put out my Brand Design Masters newsletter, every time I put out my newsletter, I always include like 4 or 5 cool, interesting resources. And so after putting out 50 Brand Muse newsletters, I decided, I'll go back, I'll take all of those resources, and I'll take 100 of those resources, and I'll put them in a single PDF and say, 100 cool, resources for graphic designers and creative professionals. And so that's what I did. And I've been able to create 3 now 100 resource lists that I use for lead magnets. And people love them because a lot of those resources are very, very cool. The resource section of my newsletter is constantly the most clicked section of my newsletter in terms of clicking links. So people love resources. That's another idea for lead magnets. All right, so those are just some of the things that you can offer. Oh, I'm backing up. Okay, so how are you going to get people to go to your website to download this thing? Okay, they could show up there by chance by Google search, right? But the chances of that are pretty low. So you have to drive them there. So the idea is to post on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, in the LinkedIn feed. Post about this free asset, describe it a little bit, create a link that goes back to your website or to a landing page where they can enter their email address and download this asset. You have to promote the lead magnet that you have. I'm sure you guys have clicked on lead magnets and signed up for people's email lists in order to get a free asset yourself. So you know how it works, right? And so you want to create some sort of a landing page or an independent page on your website where there's an email form connected to your email service provider that serves up this digital asset. You can build those sorts of landing pages, like if you have MailChimp or you have ConvertKit, they actually have landing page builders inside of the email service provider software as a service. So you can actually do it all within there. And they have it set up so you can, upload a lead magnet, which it will then give whoever signs up access to it and ability to download it. So you want to promote it out on social media and do that fairly constantly. Remember, the life cycle of a tweet is about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, it's so far down the feed, no one's going to see it again. So if you're promoting on Twitter, you should be promoting that thing like 3 or 4 times a day. Okay? If you're promoting on Facebook, maybe once a day. If you're putting on LinkedIn, maybe a couple times a week. So the feed on LinkedIn refreshes a lot slower than it does on Facebook or it does on Twitter. So keep in mind the feed speed or the life of content feed on that particular social channel to judge how often you should promote your lead magnet on that channel. Okay? And you want to promote it there and you want to send people to your sign-up page. Another thing that you can do to get people to sign up to your email list is create a watering hole. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I created the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. And I'm going to put that up here right now. If you're not a member of the Brand Design Masters Facebook group, it's a free private Facebook group. You go to facebook.com/groups/Brand Design Masters and you can answer a few questions. I have it set up so you have to enter your email address. If you don't enter your email address, you don't get into the group for free. You don't get into the group. Giving me your email address and permission to add you to my email list is the cost of entry to the Brand Design Masters Facebook group. I didn't actually start it that way. The first maybe 1,000 people who got in didn't have to do that. But then I realized, oh, duh. And I got some recommendations from some of the people in my peer mastermind to do this. Now I'm doing it. So everyone who joins this group gives me permission to put them on my email list. And it's the cost of admission to my watering hole. And it's a really great watering hole. There are a lot of creative professionals in there, very senior people, very junior people, photographers, writers, 3D artists, web developers, some really talented folks posting really cool stuff, resources, getting feedback on their work. It's a vibrant community. And to be part of that community, you have to pony up. And so that's a way that you can do it. You can create a watering hole. It could be a Facebook group. It could be a LinkedIn group. And by promoting and giving people access to something that is of value to them, that can be the cost of admission. All right, let me turn that off. And let me move this forward. The other thing I want to tell you about is that pop-ups work. Everyone hates pop-ups. I hate pop-ups. 5 years ago when someone suggested to me, oh, to get email signups, you should put a pop-up on your website. I was like, oh, wait, I don't do pop-ups. Pop-ups are evil. Everyone hates pop-ups. And the person who was recommending that to me said, yeah, but pop-ups work. Pop-ups work. Everyone hates them, but in your pop-up, have a lead magnet available. If they sign up in that pop-up, they get that lead magnet, and you get an email that's going to give them that download link, or it's going to take them to a download page. It puts that email sign up and that carrot on a stick right in front of people. I have email sign up forms and lead magnets all over my website. There's probably 2 on the home page. It's in the footer of every page, but I have a pop-up. 85% of my email signups come through my pop-up. I don't care how many pages people go to, how many footers they see, how many lead magnets they see embedded in pages. 85% of my email signups come from the lead magnet in my pop-up on my website. So get over yourself. Pop-ups work. Use them. Okay? Now, you also have to kind of get over yourself in terms of asking people. If you have a newsletter, or if you send out an email, or if you post any sort of content or tweets, Facebook, LinkedIn, ask people to join your email list. And when you start sending out emails to your list, in your emails, promotional, newsletter, whatever it is you're sending out from your email list, trend, inspiration, thoughts of the day, ask people to share it. And there's so many people who never ask. They send great content out via email to their list, but they never ask their list to share it with others. They never ask their list to forward it to some of their friends. You have to ask for people to do things. And if you're giving them great content through what you're sending them on your email list, and they feel good about that stuff, they will develop subliminal reciprocity. You guys who follow me know that I talk about this a lot, which is that if you give people enough value, they will want to give you value in return. They will want to return the favor if you keep giving them great stuff, great content. So if you are giving them great content via your email and you're not asking them to share your email with other people or their group or make recommendations for you, do that, because you have to ask people and they will want to help you. Okay? All right. Let me see where I am here. All right. One thing I wanted to mention, I'm not going to go crazy deep into this, but the Brand Design Masters Guild is a paid mastermind group that I run. And I'm filling my 4th Brand Design Masters Guild right now. There's a number of people who've been in the guild in the chat right now. 3 that I can see. And it's a really great group. Here's just a few pictures of the last guilds. It's a paid mastermind group. It runs 12 weeks. We do a hour Zoom meeting every week for 12 weeks, and then everyone does a one-on-one meeting with another member of the guild. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Every guild meeting, there are 2 hot seats. So 2 members of the guild get the entire guild's attention working on a challenge, problem, something they want feedback on. That happens every single meeting. All of these meetings are also recorded, so you have access in a private membership area to go back and look at these sessions if you wanted to hear it again or hear what someone said. And we get a private Facebook group where everyone can interact, post anything they want. There's only 10 people in this group. The guild is a very tight, private, exclusive group. There are 10 people, including myself, so me and 9 others. And it's not a course, it's a mastermind group where everyone is setting goals, holding each other accountable to those goals, and driving their business forward, adding rocket fuel to their business. It's an incredibly effective investment to make in the success of your business. It's $14.97 for the 12 weeks. Guild number 4 only has 2 spots left right now. It's going to launch at the beginning of next month. And if you want to become a member of the guild and have a chat with me on Zoom about it, if you are prepared to make that investment and are serious about it, then go to philipvandusen.com/mastermind, fill out an informational form. You'll get an opportunity to set up a Zoom call with me to discuss your participation. I vet and speak to everybody who I curate into these mastermind groups to make sure that they're a good fit and make sure that their goals and where they stand in their business development is a good fit for the group. So if you're interested in joining the guild, 2 spots available. Go to philipvandusen.com/mastermind. It's $14.97. Fill out the information form. Give me as much detail as you can about where you are with your business, what your goals are, the distance between where you are and where you want to be. And I'd love to talk to you. And so when you go to that site, you'll get a little jot form. It's got about 6 or 8 different pages where you're going to fill out some information, and I'll talk to you about being in the guild. All right. That was my little segue. Now, at that, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to center myself a little bit. And there's another thing that I wanted to tell you about in terms of ways to grow your email list, which is something that not a lot of people think of. And that is partnerships. It's partnerships with other people who have email lists. So if you understand about blogging, right, and guest posting. So you ask someone who's got a blog, can I do a guest post? And you write a blog article and they post it on their blog, right? So you get exposure to their audience. It's a give and get situation. You may ask people to guest post on your blog. And just like podcasting, people invite each other on each other's podcasts. It's like the content mafia. That's what I like to call it. And so one of the ways that you can get to build your audience, just like podcasters who invite each other on each other's podcasts and then promote the podcast that they're on as well as their own, is they are leveraging and growing their audience by leveraging other people's audiences. You can do the same thing with email lists. Okay, hear me out. If you put out a newsletter, you put out emails, you put out resources lists, thoughts of the day to your mailing list, you have a little mailing list, or you maybe have 1,000 people or whatever, wherever it is in terms of size, you can find other people who are in your space, who do what you do, interested in what you're interested in, have the same type of audience that you do, right? And you can say, hey, can I be featured in your newsletter, in your thoughts of the day? Can you do a link to my lead magnet in your newsletter, to your email list, right? Return the favor. Let them do the same thing with your email list. It's a way to leverage and grow your email list through leveraging other people's lists. But you're not doing it in a smarmy way, because if you are offering content in a lead magnet and something of real value to people to sign up to your email list, you're golden, right? You are giving them value, and you have empathy for where they are in their life, and you care about giving them something of importance to drive them forward and to help them with their business and their lives. And so by offering that cool lead magnet, it's a great feature for someone else to put in their newsletter or their email out to their list. And same thing, you just have to make sure that you return the favor. But it's a way that you can get exposure to someone else's audience in a very easy and reciprocal way. Another way is to get interviewed on podcasts, to appear in webinars, to appear in digital conferences, to be asked to speak, right? Wherever you can appear, be interviewed, show up, podcast, YouTube interview shows, conferences, whatever, you will always get the opportunity to promote yourself. And what do you promote? You promote your lead magnet, right? You say, hey, all the audience listening to this podcast today, I have a great freebie for you. 9 design elements you absolutely positively need. It's a cool little 4-page ebook. You're going to love it. Thousands of people have downloaded it. Go to philipvandusen.com/freebie and you can download it. And in fact, if you guys want to go to philipvandusen.com/freebie, you can download it because that's the URL I use when I speak at conferences. It's a fun little ebook. Many of you might already have it. Many of you might already have, that's maybe how you got in contact with me or came across me in the first place. Who knows? But so that is another way that you can surface and make apparent and visible your lead magnets, is get out there, become visible, either on video or in audio or whatever that is, or as a guest posting in someone's blog, and link back to your lead magnets. Okay? All right. So that is the meat of what I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, and the other thing I would mention is, even though I was talking about the pop-up and saying I have all these other places on my web pages to sign up, have other places on your website for people to sign up. I would put an email sign up in the footer of your website so it shows up on every single page. You could conceivably put a lead magnet and email sign up at the bottom of every single page. So no matter what page people drop in on, a blog post, whatever that is on your website, your portfolio, however they happened upon your site, there's going to be a lead magnet on that page. But if you put it to the bottom towards the footer, it's not obtrusive, and they're going to probably come across it. And your chances of getting them on your email list is greater. Like I said, on my homepage, I have 2 different I think one is to sign up for the newsletter. So that's the content that you're getting. It's not actually a lead magnet. It's just you're signing up for a newsletter, which is free content. And another is an actual lead magnet. I have 2 different places on my homepage where that can happen, plus the sign up in the footer, plus the pop-up. So I hit you over the head with the ability to sign up to my email list, depending on how you come across my site, what your particular interest is, whether you want to get a newsletter, whether you want to get a downloadable ebook. Give people options. Just like when it comes to producing content, people like to consume content in different ways. Some people like to listen to it. Oh, that's another thing. That's another, kind of format of a lead magnet that you could offer. You can offer audio files. If you're a musician, offer a free song. If you're, a podcaster, you're a poet, offer a free reading of a poem or a collection of your poems. You can offer audio files as downloadable lead magnets too, right? You can offer videos or kind of creative, movies or motion design things as downloadable lead magnets. There are people who are motion designers who offer templates as lead magnets. There are writers who offer resume formats as lead magnets. There's all sorts of things that you can offer as lead magnets depending on what kind of a creative professional you are, what you're a specialist at, and what your audience wants to get from you, right? All right. So that was a thought bubble that popped in on the tail end of all that. But so I saw maybe a couple questions come in, and you guys are all having a nice chat with each other. That's cool. Hey, Natalie, good to see you. Amy McGlynn is here. Amy rocks. Amy is one of the best copywriters in the world, in my opinion. She has spoken about LinkedIn to 2 of my guilds. So she is a very smart person and a great person to know. She's also a partner at my agency. So it's great to have her here. So I'm going to scroll back through the comments really quickly just to see if there's any questions. And if you have any questions, I'll put this back up. Please type question in all caps before your question so I can recognize that it's a question for me and not just a question in the chat going back and forth with each other. So do that. All right. So Colette asked, I am one who loathes gated content just to get email addresses. I still avoid sites that do that. Yours is an exception, Philip. Thank you, Colette. I appreciate that. Isn't there any other effective way to build an email list? Let me ask you a question, Colette. Would you sign up to an email list that didn't give you anything? Someone who you didn't know them from Adam. They'd never given you any kind of valuable content. Maybe you followed them on social media. Maybe you heard them speak at a conference or something. Maybe if you heard them speak at a conference and they were really great, you might sign up for their email address, but not get anything. I tell you, every single social media marketing world I've been to, every single presentation that I've seen, every single person who says, go to this thing, you get a free ebook, you get a free template, you get a free blah. And that's, you have to sign up with your email address. I hate to say it, Colette, but that's the way it's done. Would you sign up to an email list just to be on the email list? I doubt it, because you never knew what you were going to get. And unless that person has given you significant value that you feel that subliminal reciprocity, or you feel like this magnetism, like, oh, I want to hear everything that this person says, they speak to me, you have to make that sort of a deep impression with somebody first through your appearances, through your multiple appearances somewhere that they're coming across. And unless you get them on your email list, the chances of them coming across you are a crapshoot, right? Unless they subscribe to you on YouTube, or unless they, subscribe to your podcast, or they, follow you on Instagram, or they follow you on Twitter. But yes, there are other ways, and I mentioned those in terms of, cross partnering with other people with lists, or appearing on podcasts, conferences, blah, 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 asking people to go sign up for your list. But I swear, every single list I've ever signed up for, I got something in return. Because, who wants to be on an email list? Right? You got to make it worth their while. All right. I am scrolling down. Scroll. Amy's here. Amy is also a Brand Design Masters alumni. And I'm gonna put that back up there. Sorry, you guys. I'm gonna put that back up because I want you to see that Brand Design Masters. If you guys are interested, that is the URL. Okay. It's so good to see all you here. Are you guys having a great time? Is the weather great where you are, as it is here in beautiful New Jersey outside of New York City? Sunny, gorgeous, like 65 degrees. It's awesome. It is an awesome Friday. It makes me happy to be alive. Not a lot of questions. Hey, that's okay. Maybe you guys are tired. Maybe you guys are done. Maybe you guys had a hard week. I had a great week. I signed up a long-term 6-month retainer client, which was awesome. And I love doing that. An entrepreneur who is pivoting her business, her significant business, into enterprise and some other stuff. It's really, really great interacting with her. All right. This is a question, but Sasha didn't put question before it, so I didn't really notice that it was a question. How do you keep people from unsubscribing once they got the content without being salesy? The only way you keep them from unsubscribing is keep giving them really great content. So when they get on your email list, you are going to engage with them periodically by sending them emails, and you just have to make sure that what you're featuring in that email is of great value to them. You have to understand and ask your email audience what it is they want. What are they struggling with? What do they need? And then you provide that to them. I will say, though, Sasha, is that people unsubscribe to email lists all the time. Every email that I send out, every single email that I send out, I will get a smattering of unsubscribes, because it's very easy now to unsubscribe from an email. It's usually at the very top of the email that you get, unsubscribe. People might even hit it by accident. I'm convinced that everyone who subscribes from my list does it by accident. No, I'm kidding. But when I send out a lot of marketing emails kind of in a row, I can expect to get more unsubscribes. When I send out a lot of, free content, newsletters, podcast content, stuff like that, I get a little less. But there is a certain level of churn in any email list. You will gain email subscribers, you will lose email subscribers. It's just the ways it goes. But you hope that you're gaining more than you're losing. But people get tired, they move on, they find some other influencer that speaks to them more, or they're just tired of the content you're putting out. It doesn't matter, but people will come and go. You just want to try and keep them engaged and as happy and delivering awesome content to them as possible. One of the ways you keep people engaged is you ask them what they think. One of the smartest things I ever did with my email list, and I can't believe it took me like 2 years to do this, was I sent out an email to my entire list, and I said, it was like, and this was a suggestion of Chris Ducker. I got to give him props for this. He said, just send out an email list like 2 sentences long. Hey, I just wanted to know, what is it the one thing in your business that you're struggling with the most right now? Just hit reply and shoot me a couple sentences and tell me. Thanks, Phil. That was it. And so, and I got back, I think my list was, 15,000 people or something like that at that point. I have since culled it way back. But I got back 350 replies in 24 hours. Blew me away. And what even blew me away even more was what people were struggling with. And I created a Google Sheet, and I cut and pasted every single thing that people had sent me into a Google Sheet, and then I categorized it. I categorized whether it was, business development related, design related, whether it was organizational and time management related, whether it was, personal, or whether it was education related. I categorized all the feedback I got, and I learned so much about my audience and what they wanted and what they needed from me that I was then able to take a step back and say, is this content I'm putting out, is this video, is this podcast, is this blog post, is this serving the people what is the problem that people have mentioned that this content is serving? And it enabled me to really target and get better about what I was delivering to people with my content, because I asked them. And people love to be asked. People love, what is your opinion? What are you struggling with? I want to help you, right? And I can't tell you how many people, and I thanked everyone too. So when they emailed me, I would shoot them back. Hey, Jane. Hey, Bill. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. This is going to really help me develop better content for you. Hope you're well. And people like to be seen. They like to feel recognized, and they like to have you care. And if you show that you care, they'll stay on your list. I know that was like an insanely long answer, Sasha, to your question. But yeah, so that's how I do it. Mindset Mentor. I love your name, by the way. It asks, what is the best kind of free resource to create? How to or informative? It doesn't really matter. What you do is you do multiples and test, which are the ones that you get the best result from. How-tos, I'll tell you this, numbers convert. If I take my 300 videos on YouTube and I sort by most popular, you can do this. You can go to my channel and you can sort my videos by most popular. And the first dozen of them, right? I would say 9 of the first dozen start with a big number. 15 graphic design resources, 14 graphic design trends, 5 free resources for, whatever that is. Big number. People love numbers. It's like checklists. People love checklists. I don't know why. But if you start with a number, 15, amazing design bloggers you should follow. People love numbers. They get attracted to them. And there's certain numbers actually that people get attracted to more than others. And if you do a Google search, you can find out there's like some psychology around it. But it's less important exactly what the format is of the lead magnet, but you want to try a number of different things. Short form, long form, checklists, resource lists, little blog posts, little ebook, the topic of your ebook. You don't want to just do one and hope that that's the one that is the best one and only do one, because you're never going to know if it's a good one or if it's a really performing one until you do a range of different kinds. So start with something. Here's the thing. All of you guys in chat right now know my mantra. I have two mantras. Dare to suck. That's my number one mantra. And number two is just start. So many people agonize over the right thing to do, and it keeps them from starting. There's this other quote of mine, which is that I can't even remember. It's like something. It has to do with perfectionism and procrastination. I'll come up with it. I'll share it next time I go live. Just a little tired. It's Friday. I did a podcast just before this. I taught a class this morning to some school out in LA, so I'm a little burnt. You might not be able to tell it, but as Peter Lewis knows, that is why I'm drinking Red Bull, because it keeps my lip moving. Oh, and on that subject, I was interviewing someone on the podcast just earlier today who told me about a person who left Red Bull. He was like an executive or something, founder of Red Bull, left and started a new energy drink company that's like Supernatural. I guess I forget the name of it, but it's based around the Sherpas what they drink when they climb Mount Everest. It's like this collection of like guaranga and different kinds of green tea and like all these other things. And supposedly it's a great energy drink, but better for you than Red Bull. So I'm going to try to find out what that is. And you may find me endorsing a different product soon. Rashi asks, how to stand out in a creative field like graphic design. One way to do it is templates. People love templates, and graphic designers love templates. And your your customer targets, your prospective clients love templates. If you give people a design deliverable that they can personalize in some way, writers can do resume templates. Graphic designers can do YouTube thumbnail templates. Roberto Blake, good friend, an amazing YouTuber. He has a collection of YouTube thumbnail templates that he put together over the years of his doing YouTube, and he just like took a bunch of his templates, he genericized them, and he offers them up as a resource because they are really helpful to people. They keep you from having to start from scratch, and they're obviously very impactful because he's been able to grow his channel like crazy, right? And so you can, what kind of design do you do? If you're a motion designer, do you have some sort of lower third animation template? Do you have some sort of, animation template, falling snowflakes, little dog paws, whatever it is that you can offer other motion designers or people who create videos for YouTube or for the business or whatever. That can be a free resource that they can use, royalty free, hopefully. And it's a design deliverable that highlights your talent, but it's giving them something for free. So think about that. What is it that you produce? Could it be, an Instagram template for Instagram posts or a Twitter image template? Could it be a template for carousels for LinkedIn? LinkedIn has PDF carousel capability that you can put in the feed where it's a multiple slideshow. And what if you did a template for those in PowerPoint or Keynote that people could personalize and then turn into PDFs for LinkedIn? There's all sorts of different things depending on what you do as a creative of things that you could create as a lead magnet. It doesn't have to be something you read, like readable content. It could be a template. Like I said, it could be a sound file. Say you're a musician, say you're a sound engineer, and you do, sound effects, or you do stock music. Maybe it's a stock music song. Maybe it's a folder of 5 of your most popular, stock music backgrounds that you designed. That's the sort of thing that you'd want to do as a designer or a creative. And to tell you the truth, I would be interested in a downloadable lead magnet that was stock audio that I could use as a background or something for my videos, or my podcast, whatever. Okay, Natalie, good to see you. I'm glad you hung out for a while. Rick, good to see you. Rashi. Okay, I'm gonna bail soon because I promised myself I'm gonna go live more often for less time. So I've been trying to keep it to about 45 minutes, and I just realized that I totally ran over. So let me turn that off. Ola has one last question, what I'm going to answer. My question isn't related to the topic being treated, though. How do I start up a premium package teaching people the knowledge of a particular skill? Good vibes. I'm sorry, Ola, I do not understand that question. If you mean starting a course, if you want to start a course, how to teach people, I would recommend taking Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy. That would be an amazing investment. It's an incredible course to take, and she is a specialist at teaching people how to create courses to teach people. Amy Porterfield Digital Course Academy. I've taken it. She's super talented, and it helped me put together my brand strategy 101 course. So I know that it's an amazing experience that will lead to a profitable course for you. All right, David, Rick, Ola, GK, Natalie, Colette, David, Peter, Rashi, Amy, all you guys, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been super, super fun. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And relax, man. It's been an intense year, right? And spring is here. So get out there, relax, take a walk, breathe some fresh air, walk your dog, take a hike in the park. Be healthy, be safe, feed your brain, because fresh air feeds creativity, I guarantee you. And it's been great talking to you today. Hope you've enjoyed this content on building your email list. And with that, you guys take care, and I'll see you next time.